Okay, my question is that how can we approach the employers basically, and what did they look in the overseas pharmacist?
Samri, the first question is, at the moment, have you contacted any employer? What have you done so far?
Yeah, I have contacted them through LinkedIn,
Yeah.
and I have been emailing them from past 3 to 4 months. And
Mm.
yeah, I'm getting the responses, but the responses are very, you can say, slow, and they are not very willing to hire the overseas pharmacists, as you have discussed this point as well.
Yeah. So like I mentioned, like it's very important because the current situation, because I think in the year 2021, most employers employed lots of overseas trained pharmacists, but unfortunately, the outcome wasn't good. Most of them regretted that decision because some of the overseas trained pharmacists did not really deliver what they expected. Because, most of us that came from overseas in our CV would say we have 10 years experience, 5 years experience, but in reality, it doesn't really translate. So I would say the first thing is to review your CV, look at it. You might need to collaborate with like a mentor or some form of people that will look at your CV, see, does it have the details that they are looking for? So I myself, I'll just give a little bit of experience. Again, I'm not talking on behalf of the company that I work for as a pharmacist. I'm just saying when I look at CV, when I'm hiring, sometimes I see some things that people put on their CV, but it's totally irrelevant for the Australian industry. So some people will say, oh, I have like 20 years experience in hospital in so country. It means nothing to us in community pharmacy here in Australia. So when we see that kind of thing, it's not an advantage. So first, you need to look at your CV and make sure that everything in your CV relates to the Australian industry. You need to do a lot of background work in understanding how the community pharmacy here works. What's the information? So if I'm interviewing somebody, there are some things I'm looking at for. We know Samrin understands this industry and it might be worth investing in her. So I think that's what you may need to look at. You may review your CV, look at what you have there, make sure it's just what is necessary. Try to understand the basic of the Australian industry. Another thing you need to understand is also there's a pattern around when they hire. You need to understand the hire pattern for it to be very successful. So I'll give you an example. Their normal students will graduate towards the end of the year. So most people would wait to get internship from people who have studied here. So if you are applying close to that time, it might not be successful because the employer wants to try and get an intern who is trained in Australia. So you need to target when those people have been hired first before you apply. So it has to do with strategy, like when do you hire? When do you put your CV? Yes, LinkedIn is a good way to connect to employers, but most times, most of them don't really lead to real placement. So I would say maybe more of like the sick and indeed actual position openings might be your best bet. But again, sometime before this session end, I'm going to put a link to like a free kaps group and intern group. So the kaps group is for people who want to write kaps, and the intern group is for people who want to, they've already passed kaps and they are looking for internship opportunities. So those are the two different groups, and maybe we can talk more about, the support you can get or what you can do. But Sabrine, I don't know if you picked one or two things from what I've said.
Okay, thank you so much. That would be great if you
Yeah.
share the link.
All right.
Thank you.